So, I just told you a story about my friend, Harry. And if you wonder, is Harry me? Is Harry the instructor? No, that wasn't my story at all. This is my story. I was always in very, very good shape until my 30s. This happens to a lot of women. In their 30s, we just start getting wider and wider and wider. And we write it off to the fact that we're now in our careers and we're not as active as we used to be. And we also write it off to hormones. All of these things are factors. I know exactly where my excess weight was coming from. I'm not going to blame it on my hormones. I'm blaming it on what I was eating and what I was and was not doing. You see, it started with me going for the American dream. Pretty much when you hit your 30s, you figured you're going to be coupled up, you're going to get married, you're going to buy the house, and you're going to have the kids. Well, I met a fellow that already had a child. I was a second wife. And in order to afford our house, I needed to go do a real job. Prior to that, I had been in advertising. That's why I can tell you about hypnosis. And a lot of other different creative careers. But I actually took a job in the financial district where I had to wear a suit every day and carry a briefcase and be in a corporate environment that didn't quite suit my personality. But I did it for a goal. I wanted that house. I would get up in the morning with the alarm at 6 o'clock because I needed to catch the train, the commuter rail, into Boston to be able to be at my desk, or in a meeting more likely, at 9 o'clock. This meant I would catch breakfast on the go, a coffee and a bagel and cream cheese, or a coffee and a ham and cheese croissant, and I'd eat them at my desk or at the meeting table in the conference room. Lunchtime would roll around, and as I was in management, we were required to kind of go to meetings. They would bring in pizzas and sandwiches and cookies and sodas. This was a gift to us. They were paying for our lunch. Yeah, right. Excuse me, I think everybody needs to have an hour off in the middle of the day. I didn't, and I would eat that stuff. Also, being in the position I was in, I didn't leave at, quote, quitting time at 5 o'clock. I was there most of the time till the last train ran out to the suburbs. Consequently, I got home pretty late, and I would just grab whatever was in the refrigerator left over from my husband and my daughter. Also, there are times that I would just stop and pick up a pizza or Chinese food on the way home. In order to get to sleep and to truly wind down after such a long day, I would drink a glass or two of red wine. Red wine's supposed to be good for you, right? Well, not really, especially at that time of night, because it's sugar. It's not just the alcohol. The grapes are sugar. So, at 2 o'clock in the morning, if I could even get to sleep, I woke up because the sugar kicked in. And then, by the time I got to sleep, the alarm was going off. I would roll over and I'd hit that snooze button and wait 10 more minutes. And I'd hit that snooze button again, and then I had to just get up and get moving. Once again, I grab the coffee, the bagel and cream cheese, go to my desk, and you've already heard the story. Just multiply it over and over and over and over and over and over again. I wasn't happy. This was not the lifestyle I wanted to live. And I believe that made me get bigger and bigger and bigger because you just didn't see a smile on my face. I'm a naturally sunny person, but it was really hard to smile through those years. I found my weight changing. Now, I didn't even want to wear a business suit, not in that environment. I wouldn't mind wearing it in another environment, but not in that environment. And I found that my suits weren't fitting anymore. I went from being a little too petite to then a 4, and then a 6. And it was a 6 on the top, and then an 8 on the bottom, and then a 6 on the top, and a 10 on the bottom. My suits just didn't fit. And I was so depressed because I didn't want to buy another suit. It wasn't me. Back in those days, the uniform of working women in the city of Boston were these dumpy, flowered dresses with a lace collar and their little short white socks and their Reeboks. And I started dressing like that. It was horrendous to me, and it was breaking my heart. One day, I looked in the mirror and said, "That's it. I've reached my limit." I didn't feel I was in a position to quit the job yet. I needed to have the income. I had a family to raise. I had a mortgage to pay. But darn it, I had been trained in hypnotherapy way back in the late 70s, and I decided to take action for myself. I knew I needed to make some internal, mental changes. I needed to change not only my behavior, I needed to change the way I felt about myself. So I made some hypnosis audio cassettes. Yes, the days of audio cassettes. I put my previous training into them, and I motivated myself to feel good. I told my superiors, that's it. I really cannot do 5 days of lunches in the conference room. I have to get outside. I have to walk. I need to feel fresh. And I brought my Walkman. It was one of the old ones. There were 2 little slots for your headphones so you could share with a friend, and it took 4 batteries. The joke was, I lost weight by carrying that thing around. It was so heavy. I walked. I changed the way I ate as well. I did do something called food combining, and I incorporated traditional Chinese medicine, but that's another completely different seminar that I give out on the road. This is simply to make a point that the power of your mind is so important. How you feel about yourself is so important. And this, when we're coming up to the next section, is so important. As a woman, I really prefer pleasure programming. I want to feel good about myself. So although in this last section, I talked to you about pain versus pleasure and pain being very, very powerful and how you can use it, the rest of this program, we're going to use the feminine process of pleasure. It's softer, it's more nurturing, and you probably are wondering what happened to my weight. In a matter of 2 months, by changing my diet and using audio cassettes to help make me feel good about myself, I got back down to a size 2. That's right. I dropped that much weight, but I did it safely. There was no deprivation diets, no pain whatsoever. It was all done by feeling good about myself and using hypnosis tapes, my own self-hypnosis creations, to bring myself to crave the really good foods and not even think about the other ones. You're going to get a lot of material that you can listen to that will truly change your life effortlessly, positively. I'm really looking forward to the next section. I hope you are too.